Yo, what is going on, everybody? And welcome back to Team 9, an XFL and USFL podcast. My name's Ethan, and I'm joined by my co hosts, John and Felix. What's up, boys?
How's it going?
How you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Pretty good. I mean, just last night, I got to mention, March Madness just ended.
It
I thought
did.
this tournament was pretty crazy. I saw a lot of people, I guess, like just discrediting this tournament and just like discarding it. I thought this was a pretty damn good tournament, if you ask me.
Yeah, I can't believe it was made out to be a boring tournament. And if anything, it's more exciting when one seeds start losing to these lower seeds. And I'm even shocked that UConn was ranked a, what, 4 seed were they?
Yeah, I mean they looked dominant the entire time. They didn't lose. They won every single game in the tournament by
Yeah.
double digits, which is crazy.
I know. And it's crazy because you might think if you just watched that San Diego State game, like, oh, well, San Diego State got blown out. No, UConn, that's probably the closest game they had the whole tournament. They were beating
I
everybody
know
else
it's
by
great.
20 points for most of the game.
It was wild, man. Late in that second half, they cut it to five.
I
But I
know.
gotta mention on Saturday night, I was at the Clippers Pelicans game that night, and that's when the Final Four was going on. And as whenever San Diego State and what was his name, Butler, whoever, whatever I forgot his first name because we didn't plan this segment out. It just kind of happened. Anyway, he hit the game winner for
Yeah.
San Diego State over FAU, and you could just hear a little "oh" go over the stadium. It was kind of crazy because it was just before the game started, so nobody was watching the
Oh,
actual game
really?
in front of us. I just thought that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I saw a clip of, like, the sidelines of FAU fans and San Diego State fans after that shot was hit, and it was just insane. Like, everybody on San Diego State just yelling and cheering. Everybody just got so quiet. I
Yeah,
prefer
that
news.
was wild, man. That was an awesome NCAA tournament. I'm sick of the people discrediting it, like you said, kind of just taking it for granted. Anyway, we are indeed an XFL and USFL show, and dang, we had some really good football this week. In fact, we might have had the game of the year, and let's get into that right now. The Guardians, the Orlando Guardians, the winless Orlando Guardians, shocked the world, beat the undefeated Defenders 36-35 for their first win in the game of the year. Other headlines include after starting the season 4-0, the Houston Roughnecks dropped their third straight game. That one to the St. Louis
I
Battlehawks.
believe it was 37-36.
37-36. Thank you. You would be right on that. Anyways, the XFL playoff race continues to heat up in both divisions, and the red hot Seattle Sea Dragons have won five straight as they prepare to host the DC Defenders on Sunday Night Football in Team Nine's game of the week. But until we get into this next week, we got to talk about what happened last week. I mean, again, this DC Defenders Orlando Guardians game was probably the game of the year, man. I mean, you would think that coming in, I mean, especially if you look at our picks, which in this game did not go over very well. We both thought the defenders were going to kind of come out early and run away with this one. It kind of looked like that on the opening drive with Lucky Jackson coming back on this 32-yard touchdown. He had like a curl route, comeback route, and just broke a tackle, spinning out of it, and scored the touchdown. And it just looked like it was going to be the same old for DC. But Quentin Dormady leads the drive, scores a quarterback sneak, and then next drive they followed up with a 41-yard touchdown to KD Cannon, who burns Michael Joseph, who we've talked about plenty of times on this podcast
Oh,
now.
yeah.
But the defenders responded. They had Abram Smith come in with the touchdown. Abram Smith's stats to end the game: 18 carries, 127 yards, and a touchdown. He had a good game, even without the loss. But after that Abram Smith touchdown, John, can you take us inside this De'Ara King touchdown? I mean, holy cow, what a play, dude.
That touch, oh my god. Yeah, that was crazy. So, we had De'Ara King, I forgot how far out it was, but he took a snap uh, around just about 10 yards, maybe a bit further out. And
It
then,
was in the red zone.
yeah, it was in the red zone. And, well, he got into a bit of trouble, but we saw him use his legs to make a Lamar Jackson type escape and run about 20 yards to the sideline where he eventually just kind of chucked up the ball to one of their tight ends whose name is escaping me, but up to one of their tight ends who made an incredible catch on the back line of that touchdown with the toe drag. But take it back to De'Aaron King there. He had to twist his body. He was all out of shape. It was amazing he even got that ball off, much less put it perfectly where the tight end could get it. And yeah, just an amazing play by him. I know he did get a bit banged up there, so hope he's all good and everything there, because I don't think he entered the game after that.
Yeah, that was De'Aaron King's one drive. He's been known to kind of come in on certain drives and kind of like that's like the scripted drive for him. On that drive, he had three rushing attempts for 20 yards, and he only had that one pass, but it was a beauty, 12-yarder touchdown to Briley Moore, the
Yeah.
tight end. Big body tight end. Awesome to even get his foot down. I mean, I think the challenge came out too for Orlando, right? Didn't Terrell Buckley challenge that? I believe
I
he did.
don't actually think he did. I think he was going to, but then he got word from his coaches up in the booth that you can't challenge this; it's gonna stand. But he was heated and
That's
he
true,
really
because
wanted to challenge it.
what's his face would have Blandino heard he had looked at it, huh?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. During the broadcast, Blandino, he had that back angle of the sideline where you just saw the toe drag, and yeah, it was complete and a beautiful catch.
Right, and at that point in time, it really felt like DC that was going to be like their time to run away with it. Again, this game coming in, it was a 9.5 point spread in favor of DC. But that 2 minute drive, led by Orlando, Quentin Dormady with a buzzer beating quarterback sneak to make it a 3 point game going into halftime, or a 4 point game going into halftime. Excuse me. But and then coming out of half, the Guardians take a 31-20 lead with another Quentin Dormady quarterback sneak. This man had three rushing touchdowns in this game. Insane.
Yeah, that is
That drive coming
crazy.
out of half lasted 12 minutes long, dude.
Because I'm pretty sure he paired that with three passing touchdowns, right? Or close to
He
that.
did. He did.
Six touchdowns in a game. That's the most we've seen in an XFL game the whole year, much less maybe the whole of the league's existence, dating back to 2020 and before that, you know?
Right. And this is the guy who, I mean, like, the guy had gone through so much with the whole playbook scenario situation
Yeah.
thing. That being leaked, we talked about that the past couple of weeks. We finally got that situation out of the way, so we don't have to talk about it much anymore. But this is a huge thing for Dormady, man. I mean, Felix, what would this mean for a guy like him?
I was gonna say right before you mentioned that he certainly redeemed himself after the whole controversy. I think as any upcoming sports player, especially football, where it's so hard to make it pro, I think this definitely means a lot for him and probably his teammates as well. Just showing that initiative after just being beat down by the media and by people in the league. I think it definitely shows resilience on his part. And I think that's the mindset you have to have if you want to make it pro. So if he keeps this up, he can definitely go places.
Love it, man. So then the defenders get the ball back, have a nice drive with led by Jordan Tamu. But Matthew McCrane, very uncharacteristic of him, missed a 29-yard field goal to start the third, which would have tied I mean, to start the fourth, that would have tied the game.
Yeah.
Um, but that didn't seem to matter as Cody Latimer, who has really been the guy for Orlando all year, fumbles, and that leads to a Lucky Jackson slant route touchdown, which gives DC the lead. John, were you sweating at this point in the game, or did you think that this one was still going to be a close one, or did you think DC was about to run away with it?
Um, well, I felt like it was going to be a close one just because it was so late in the game and, Orlando had played so well to just keep going into that, right? So, yeah, I just felt it was going to be a close game even coming down. And I know I saw Quentin Dormady make a lot of plays from the first half and the third quarter, so I knew he would come up big again after that, right? So,
Coming up big, he did, man. Speaking of Cody Latimer and redeeming himself, seems to be two key themes here. Cody Latimer, he's been the one constant on this Orlando team all year. He's really been the star. He had a drag route that he just breaks a couple of tackles and scores a 44-yarder to give the Guardians the 37-36 lead. Both offenses go kind of quiet for the next 10 minutes of this game. I mean, kind of a weird way. I mean, the way this game was going, it looks like it could have been a 50 to 50, like a 53 to 44 kind of game, but
yeah.
the both offenses kind of stall out late in the fourth. DC ends up getting the ball with under half a minute left um, in the fourth quarter, and they get one final chance. Tamu hits Chris Blair on a curl route, gets the spike, and then with like under 10 seconds to go, Tamu's getting pressured. He ends up escaping the pressure, scrambling, gets the first down so the clock stops, and he's able to spike it to give Matt McCrane a 63-yard attempt to win the game. It does not go his way though, and the Orlando Guardians win the game of the year. They get their first win against, I mean, the best team in the XFL so far. John, how do they do it, man?
Well, throughout the game, I just saw a team that played like they were just out there to have fun. And like, I mean, they're probably out of the playoff race at this point, although the South is getting closer as as the season draws to an end here. But yeah, this team just looked like they had fun. Everybody was really passionate. Everybody played their part. And they really eliminated all those penalties that have hurt them before or previously in the season. And I just thought they outplayed DC in all three phases of the game here in week 7.
Right, I definitely the penalties for sure because that had been always been the killer for them. In fact, they it seems like they had been playing better football the past couple weeks. It just been the penalties again had
Yeah.
killed them down the stretch. Obviously with Dormandy's incredible performance, 27 for 34, 328 yards passing with 3 touchdown passes. That doesn't even include his rushing. 8 carries, 22 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Um, I mean, honestly, we got to look at Cody Latimer too. 7 catches, 93 yards, and a touchdown on 8 targets.
Yeah,
So
Cody
only one
Latimer
miss there.
just took over the league receiving leader this week.
Does not surprise me. The guy, like I said, has been the one constant all year on a team that has really been reshuffling all year long.
Yeah.
For DC, I mean, we have to look at this right now. How panicked should we be about this loss?
I don't think we should be too panicked. I mean, they did play well, and it was kind of unexpected for Orlando to come, or not even come in here, but just go to play at home this well. We haven't seen that out of them at all this season. And it might have just been a fluke, so we'll see what happens next week. But I think DC will finish out the season strong going from here.
For me, obviously the offense looked great. I mean, Jordan Tamu, 21 for 29 passing, 285 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Awesome game there. Abram Smith does his thing, 18 carries, 127, and a touchdown himself. I mean, look at these receivers, man. Chris Blair, 5 catches, 139 yards, and
Oh,
a
yeah.
touchdown on 7 targets. Lucky Jackson showing why he is probably the best receiver on this team. 4 catches, 60 yards, 2 touchdowns on 6 targets. And Briley Moore stepped up pretty big, 5 catches, 29 yards, and a touchdown on 6 targets. But for me, it was the defense in this one. I mean, just giving up like just big play after big play to Orlando. There's nothing we should be concerned about on that end. Are we sure? I mean,
Well, especially for their next week going into Seattle, I believe. We'll
Right.
see how that matches up against their great receiving core there. And yeah, we probably should be a little concerned about that, but you got to think that's the focus of practice, right? So we'll
Right.
see. But DC did force some fumbles, right? So, or at least one. So I
they
think
forced that fumble with what's his face? Excuse me, Cody
yeah,
Latimer.
Cody Latimer. So yeah, I don't know. I think it could have just been a fluke on that backside, or just really good play calling on Orlando's half. But I think DC will rebound and see what happens next. I think they'll have a good game, and they didn't have a bad one here. They just got outplayed this game by Orlando's offense. So I don't know.
I do want to issue a correction. It was not Cody Latimer on the fumble. It was Eli Rogers, who I get mixed up with. They're both used to be in the NFL as
Yeah.
small level receivers, so I got those mixed up. That's my bad on that. But Cody Latimer still with the touchdown, still with the big game. Yeah, I mean Orlando has played really good offense lately with Dormandy at quarterback, so they played another good one. Didn't expect 37 out of them this week, but yeah, you have to give credit where credit's due. Orlando possibly saving their season with this win. We're gonna get into that a little
Yeah.
bit later, but we just had to go to that game first. Now we're gonna go in chronological order, starting with the one and only Friday night game.
Yep.
The Seattle Sea Dragons and the Arlington Renegades. I have a couple topics on this one, but let me just get into the plays really quick that stuck out to me.
Hmm.
Josh Gordon, right before halftime, Danucci throws this ball up to Josh Gordon in the end zone, one-on-one coverage. Safety slides over, but Gordon makes the 24-yard touchdown catch. The ensuing two-point conversion slant route to Jawan Green gives the Sea Dragons a 21-9 halftime lead. John, we were talking about how Josh Gordon has had his struggles lately in these past couple of weeks. What changed this week?
Well, I think it's been a combination of the past few weeks for Seattle. We've seen a lot more of their not lesser receivers, but like wide receiver 3 and 4 coming in here, like Jordan Veazey, Blake Jackson, and Juwan Green. They've really taken a lot of these receptions from Ben DiNucci that would earlier in the season been given to Josh Gordon or thrown to Jaquar Pearson, but they're now taking on a heavier load. And I think teams are now starting to stop double teaming Josh Gordon because they have to focus on all these weapons rather than in the earlier season they would have to just focus on the one guy because the other guys haven't stepped up in practice yet or something like that.
Right, and I think part of it also, I love that point of them having to definitely spread the ball out here. Because I mean, if you want to just look at some the basic passing numbers, Ben DiNucci finished the game 20 for 32, 266, a touchdown and a pick, which we'll get into a little bit later. But Jordan Veazey, none of these guys really had any big reception numbers or receiving yard numbers, but it was all spread out. I
Yeah.
mean, Jordan Veazey, 3 catches, 79 yards. Blake Jackson, 4 catches, 68 yards. Josh Gordon, 3 catches, 43 yards and a touchdown. Juwan Green, 3 catches, 31 yards. Shakur Pearson, 5 catches, 31 yards. So really just spread out. And I think part of it for this, the whole Josh Gordon thing was it didn't even feel like they were like even trying to target him. Like a lot of the time he had like 2 targets or 3 targets.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to throw it up to your best player. Throw it up to your superstar and just let him make a play.
Is he their best player though?
I have to say so. The guy, it's Josh Gordon, man. The guy's talented. He's very talented. The guy's been in the NFL before,
Yeah. All right.
and he was
Just
playing at a
is
high level too.
that is
One
true.
guy who's used to play in the NFL before, Ben DiNucci, his quarterback. We did mention that he had an interception. We're getting to that right now. At the end of the third quarter, it felt like the Seattle really could have put the they really had their foot on the throat of the Renegades here,
Yeah.
and they really felt like they could have put them away. But DiNucci throws this ball into the end zone, trying to hit your boy Jacor Pearson, um, but Will Hill jumps in front of it and picks it off. On the sideline, we actually heard the audio bite of DiNucci kind of talking back to his head coach, just kind of like just saying like, "Yeah, I know that was a bad ball by me. That was the first one I've bad ball I've thrown all night." John, um, how would you interpret this entire situation?
Well, it's a tough one because, well, let's just take it at face value first. Interception in the end zone, kind of what he's been known to do the whole season, right? And I mean, last few weeks he has started to eliminate these picks that he's been throwing, and if he does completely eliminate them or just throw one a game like he did last game, they can really turn into that super team that is not held back by any self imposed mistakes. But I think he did have a great game. I mean, he did miss 11 throws, which does suggest that not all of his balls were perfect, right? But I think he's teetering on the line of confidence and arrogance there. I do want a QB that's confident, but not one that's arrogant, right? Because then he's going to start blaming stuff on other players like the receivers, like we saw that one game where he threw a ball to Josh Gordon and it was picked. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to comment on this not being on the sideline in the headset and stuff, right? But I don't know. I have seen that Jaquar Pearson has gotten less and less in the receiving game. I don't know if that's because the other teams have just started to guard him more or match up with his speed. But I have seen like in other games the coach is just getting kind of mad at him, or not mad, but just kind of talking to him about like not running the right route or not running it well or something like that.
Right. You touched on a little bit about how Danucci's picks have decreased. I would say that they really have not, and that's been the only thing that's stopped them from really dominating in this 5 game winning streak they're on. Danucci threw 7 games, man. He's got 9 interceptions. Sure, he's got 12 touchdowns, but 9 interceptions through 7 games is not like elite quarterback
No,
level,
it's not
right?
good at all.
The guy has definitely been made mistakes, and if anything, those mistakes have kept those teams um, in these on this 5 game winning streak in games. So I would say for Danucci, yeah, it was probably his one like bad ball of the night, but he definitely has some nerve to talk back to Hazlitt, and Hazlitt, I mean, showed a lot of poise just to stay calm there and not lash out at his player. So I guess he's kind of letting him cook, you might say. I
Yeah.
don't know. It seems interesting dynamic there.
Well, I mean, I don't know who their backup is, so who are they really gonna sub him out for, right?
Right. But yeah, I mean they're not gonna sub him out. It feels like that you thought that Jim Haslett, a guy like a veteran like him, would not let Danucci talk to him like that. But I guess he just it's fun whatever he's fine with, I guess, whatever works. They're on a 5 game winning streak. They're the hottest team in the XFL. But
Yeah.
Danucci's turnovers, if they continue and they play a really good team down the stretch here, which they're about to play 2 very good ones in a row. We'll get into that a little bit later. Um, it could really hurt their title hopes here.
It could. It could indeed.
All right. Let's move on to Brahmas Vipers, and man, this game really felt like we were watching a live highlight reel. It's just like play after play was just incredible. One thing that was not on the highlight reel was Kurt Banker coming into the game. He played very well in this first drive. He was throwing some dimes,
He
and
was.
in order to set up the first touchdown to Fred Brown, it had to come at the cost of a Kalen Kennedy pass interference call, which is
Yeah.
probably around like 50 yards. I mean, he just threw it up right to the end zone. T.J. Vasher tried to hold on to it, but he could not. He was also getting his hand held all the way to the end zone. So that set up San Antonio at the 1 yard line. Fred Brown gets the fade route touchdown and scores for the Brahmas to give them a what's it called 8-0 lead after the conversion. Anyway, but
They got the
the man who
conversion.
started this game for the Vipers, we did not expect to see. We thought last week when we talked about the movement of Luis Perez at quarterback, we thought that Brett Helmy was going to get the reins for this team, but it was actually a man by the name of Jalen McClendon, whose last game he started, the only game he started, um, was back in 2018 for Baylor. That was the last game he has started since high school, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But he came out swinging, man. It seemed like the playbook. I mean, they must have known what they were doing with Luis Perez if they were willing to trade him away.
Oh
If
yeah.
they must have knew what this what's it called? Excuse me, this McClendon kid had, man. I mean, they definitely looked like a lot of one read plays where it was like a play action and it was one read, and if that play's there, you throw it, and if it's not, you get the ball, you throw the ball away, or you try and make a play with your legs. But he threw a 33-yard touchdown pass to Sean Price, the former
Yep.
police officer. So that was a pretty cool moment. He had an awesome stiff arm too. But then on the next drive for the Brahmas offense, Maximilian Roberts, the linebacker for the Vipers, comes in on a third down as the Brahmas are backed up and just absolutely destroys Kurt Benkert. He
Oh
ended up
yeah.
going to the locker room, and Jawan Pass came in for the rest of that drive. Kurt Benkert came back, but he didn't really look the same, did he, John?
He did not. And what I saw here was not as bad as what happened to Justin Herbert in the last NFL season, but it did look pretty bad. Like you saw his chest area got hurt, and he even
Right.
couldn't wear the chest protector because that was bothering him. I don't know if that hurt his chest, but he just couldn't wear it because it wouldn't allow him to throw as well. I don't exactly know what happened there. But yeah, it is something you hate to see, and I hope he gets healthy and he's back for next week. But they're not doing much anyways, so we'll see what happens.
Right. The only thing that the Brahmas really could seem to do was Just use Fred Brown. Get that man the ball. The
Yeah,
guy had a 96-yard kickoff return, the first one of the XFL this season.
ever,
Absolutely
I think,
incredible play. I
actually.
mean, it looked like he just found the blocks and ran through the holes, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, great job by him getting through that gap, and then he just turned on the afterburners and ran down the field, outrunning absolutely everybody. So great game from him as he also had that fade you mentioned.
A two touchdown game by Fred Brown. He had that fade and then he had that kickoff return. But then on the next drive for the Vipers, dude, again, McClendon just making some absolutely great throws on third down. I felt like every time they were on like a 3rd and 10 or a 3rd and 5, like he was just making the right throw or the right play, and they were just picking up first downs at will, and that led to a little dump off to Rod Smith, the former Dallas Cowboy running back, who got the ball in space and absolutely leaped over, just absolutely cleared the San Antonio Brahma defender for a 17-yard receiving touchdown. I mean, John, that's got to be the play of the week, right?
Well, there were a lot of other great plays this week, so I don't know if it's the play of the week, but it's definitely up there in the running for play of the week.
I'd say so. And it's funny on the broadcast they said they had the little hashtag Sports Center top 10 in the top right of the corner as a joke, which I thought that was pretty funny that the graphics guy had that in there. But in the but later on in the game, there was a big crucial play here where this really felt like the turning point. It was a 4th and goal for the Vipers in the 3rd quarter, and it was 4th and goal at the 1, and the McClendon hands off to John Lovett. He bounces it outside for the touchdown for the Vipers, put them up 2 possessions, and they never really looked back. Again, like we said earlier, Kurt Benkert couldn't really get anything going the rest of this game. Um, John, what really happened after that touchdown? Like, did this everybody just tighten up on the Viper side of the ball?
I don't even know if it was after that. I think San Antonio got lucky with that kick return and then the start drive for San Antonio. You know, they always talk about having those plays dialed up, get this going. Everybody's comfortable with that. After that, you never really saw any offense besides that kick return, which can you really even call that offense? San Antonio could not get anything in the ground game going, and that's what is killing them the whole season, I think, or at least the last few weeks. But Vegas just outplayed them in every single phase of the game.
And yeah, I mean, let's just look at these passing yards for Jalen McClendon: 21 for 31, 264, 2 touchdowns. Nothing, no really crazy rushing days, like statistically. John Lovett had the touchdown. Rod Smith was the leading rusher. But look at this receiving, just absolutely perfectly spread out as all things should
Yeah.
be, man. Matthew Sexton, 4 catches, 72 yards. He had a lot of great catches on the sideline that he ended up turning upfield for more yards. So that was pretty awesome. Geronimo Allison, imagine hearing that name in 2023. 3 catches, 49 yards. Sean Price, the former cop, 3 catches, 46 yards and a touchdown. Rod Smith with that amazing hurdle, 3 catches, 36 yards and a touchdown. Jeff Badet, who's been great all year, 2 catches, 31 yards, but base pretty spread out altogether. One guy who did step up for San Antonio was Landon Akers. He kept making a lot of nice plays over the middle. He seemed to be Kurt Benkert's guy.
Yeah.
But speaking of the Brahmas, this felt like a must-win for them, man. I know the Vipers were. I guess this was technically also a must-win for them because they would have been eliminated with a loss. But the Brahmas, man, I mean, I feel like they really needed this one. I feel like they really have the chance to make the playoffs, and they might have fumbled this one away with this game, right?
Yeah, quite literally everything else the Brahmas needed to happen in the Houston and Arlington game happened, yet they could not execute and give them a real chance here, I'd say. I mean, again, it's still close in the South, but losing that game was a real crucial one if they wanted to kind of stay in it in my head, just because they played so poorly in this game.
Right, and this definitely felt like a game that they had to win, just based on looking at their schedule the rest of the way. This definitely felt like one of their easier opponents, and the other one was probably Orlando. But after they just beat DC, we don't know what to think of them. So
Yeah.
we need a bigger sample size out of them. But for the Vipers, season basically lost. But at this point, just see who can get a tryout in training camp.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, season's not over for a lot of teams, or mathematically for any team, so it'll be fun
Right.
to see what happens.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the North's a little bit more tied up with, again, we mentioned Seattle and DC, and we're about to get into the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Oh
How
yeah,
about they traveled to play the Houston Roughnecks on Sunday, the one game we had on Sunday. We had two turnovers in the first 3 minutes of action in this game, which was really weird. A
yeah,
Brian Hill fumble, which we're not used to seeing, and then a Cole McDonald interception on the goal line. But then after that, it really felt like this game started, right, John? Hakeem Butler coming out and making an incredible touchdown catch, right?
oh yeah. I mean, he's been great all season, and I hope he continues to be. Use that big body and get up there and just snatch that away from the defenders, right?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of tryouts in training camp, he feels like the guy who definitely is going to get some calls from some NFL teams. That guy is an athletic specimen. Um, for the Roughnecks, it really felt like obviously with Cole McDonald starting this game, he started and finished it. He played the entire game. It really felt like the Roughnecks were leaning on the running game. They had more rushing yards than they did passing yards this game. So they got down the field, and once they got down to the 1 yard line, they had a little flip play. Cole McDonald flipped it over to Deontay Burnett for the 1 yard touchdown. Um, but right before half for the Battlehawks, the Donald Hagman, man, he set the XFL record this season with a 59-yard field goal to give the Battlehawks a 17-9 lead.
Yeah, I mean, you love to see it. A league that practically does not respect the kicking game at all. You love to see them come in and make these kind of kicks and just kind of show that this league should implement more in the kicking, right?
Right, we've had that discussion about bringing back the extra point, and
Yeah.
maybe that's a discussion for another day. But we've talked about that, and it's great to see kickers still performing well in this league. But it's not like the Battlehawks, like we said, we wanted to see them play with a lead. And once they finally got one, they turned to their big horse, Brian Hill. But
Oh yeah,
he had a second fumble after the one that he had on the first play of the
he
game.
did.
He had another one later. This one picked up by Will Likely, the former Houston Gambler of the USFL. He was an awesome player last year, awesome safety last year, cornerback hybrid for the Houston Gamblers. He's been the same for the Roughnecks this year. He brought it back for a touchdown. Um, and then, but obviously Houston couldn't convert on the 2 point conversion, which would have tied the game.
Yeah.
The next drive, Brian Hill has two huge first downs, which eventually sets up an 11-yard Darius Shepard touchdown, and that basically much sealed this one for St. Louis. Houston couldn't really crawl back in this one after that.
They could not. No.
So what was the thing that what is I mean Houston obviously now we got to look at it. They've lost ever since they started 4-0. They've lost three straight games.
Yeah.
Our episode last week was titled Houston, do we have a problem? I mean, the problem kind of continues here,
It
right?
is
What was the
turning.
issue this today?
Yeah, it is turning into a big problem as your quarterback in Brandon Silvers is yet to be back. I don't know if he's going to be back next week. He might, but I thought Cole McDonald would do well going into this week, as I said last week on the podcast, but clearly I was wrong about that as he did not do a lot of things well today. Not today, last week, but he had a pick as well. I mean, I don't know that anything really went right for Houston in this game, but they definitely had chances to get back in this game, but they just kind of fumbled them short.
Right. I mean, Cole McDonald finished 15 for 32, 106 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Very pedestrian numbers.
Yeah.
Under 50% completion percentage. Yikes. But for Cole McDonald and the Roughnecks, for me, it felt like that his mobility, they should have tried to use that more. I didn't see a lot of read option plays or plays designed to use Cole McDonald's strength. I felt like they just kind of it's like they were using like the same playbook, but like just shoved in Cole McDonald. But he's a different kind of quarterback. You got to draw up different plays for him. He had made a couple plays with his legs just to stay alive, but he didn't really use that to his advantage as much. But I also think that's a detriment to the coaching staff. I felt like St. Louis was playing back a lot, and he would have had a lot of open running lanes, but for whatever reason, the coaching staff did not try to draw that up at all. I mean, for the St. Louis side, their only two losses have been to DC this year. They've looked great against every single other team, mounting comebacks, holding on to leads. Um, how can they get over that hump of DC or whoever else?
I don't know. I just think they keep playing as they have been, keep improving every week. You can see they're consistently getting more comfortable. As this week, they actually started out well in the first quarter, getting that touchdown, which is something they haven't been able to do a lot in the past, in the whole season even. Brian Hill had the two fumbles. I don't think that's going to be a problem again. I heard Anthony Becht call him the heart and soul of this team, and he is definitely going to want to step up for his guys in the coming weeks. So I think he'll be good and he won't fumble again, or at least he won't have costly fumbles. Yeah, I don't think there's much to comment else on.
One thing I do want to mention is Gary Jennings. He only had two catches for 26 yards on two targets, but he had the opening touchdown, which was a nice one-on-one that McCarron kind of threw up and he just kind of won. So I thought I'd mention that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I also want to mention the return of Marcel Aitman. He is a big, big, big receiver. Let me get the exact measurements on him.
Is he bigger than Hakeem
Yeah,
Butler?
I don't think so, but the guy is 6'4".
Okay.
I think like 215, 216. So he's a big man. He finally got to come back this week. We didn't really see a lot of him this week, but I just want people to keep their eye on him because I really think he can have an impact down the stretch here for a St. Louis team who might be able to use him a lot. He's a big body receiver. It's his first time playing since week 3 in that first St. Louis DC matchup. So I thought I'd just mention that really quick. All
Yeah, I
right,
think.
John, are we ready to go into our new Players of the Week segment?
Let's run it.
All right, so let's start with our Offensive Player of the Week. John, who do you got, man?
Let's give me Quentin Dormady. I mean, we talked about it
Ah,
previously, but there was just so much well this guy did, and you kind of had to really watch. I mean, the stats don't even show the impact he had on this game coming in, but I'll just read them out again for you. 27 for 34, 328 yards, three touchdowns to pair that up with three rushing touchdowns as well. He had 8 carries for 22 there. First player to have 6 touchdowns in one game. So, I mean, all around doing great things, spreading the ball out. Cody Latimer being the target guy, but that was never going to change. But I think we're going to see this team start winning games. Sadly, it's at the wrong time in the season, though.
too little, too late. I don't know. We're gonna have to look at it a little bit later in the show.
Yeah.
For my Offensive Player of the Week, it's got to be the guy who just stepped up, and out of nowhere, his first start since 2018 in college at Baylor. It's Jalen McClendon, man. The guy stepped in and, like I said, balled out. We didn't expect him to come in. Obviously, we both expected Brett Hundley to be the guy. It just felt like it. But again, like I said, they must have given up Luis Perez if they knew they had something in either Brett Hundley or McClendon, and McClendon was obviously that. The guy finished statistically 21 for 31, 264, two touchdowns, and then 8 rushing attempts for 25 yards. Guy was a baller. Felt like I said, every third down they needed, he picked it up for them.
That's
I'm
a
going to stay
great
with the
player
Vipers
over
for my
there.
defensive player of the week. I'm going to go with Peta Tamamapenu. He had a sack and a half. And what was the official stat line for him? He had four total tackles, two solos, 1.5 sacks, one tackle for loss, and two pass defended. This dude's a defensive end. Apparently they said on the broadcast that he didn't even know the names of the of football positions when he was going into his senior year in high school, which is absolutely ridiculous. This guy's been an absolute athletic stud. Great find for the Vipers, man.
Yeah, they said he started playing football at 17 years old. I mean, and I'm pretty sure they talked more about his life story that he wasn't even raised in the US. He moved back here at some point, and that's when he first started learning about football, and he started playing at 17 years old, and here he is making great plays in the XFL.
I just had to spotlight him. I know I'm kind of on the Vipers right now. I kind of had to rub in that L you took with the Brahmas last week in your face a little bit, but no, the Brahmas Vipers game, a ton of highlights came from it, and Tama Penu definitely showed out. Who do you got, John, for your defensive player of the week?
Let's bring it back to St. Louis and Houston. I'm taking, even though they lost, I'm gonna take William Likely. He had two total tackles and that recovery returned for a touchdown. I mean, really kept them in that game at that point in time, but sadly the offense just couldn't execute. He had a good day.
Awesome, man. I actually have two people for my special teams player of the week.
Alrighty.
We can keep it in Houston. It's just really quick. I'm just gonna give us a little not a recap, but just remind us about Donald Hagman and his 50, what was it, 59 or 58? I forget off the top of my head.
It was one of
59,
those.
59-yard field goal at halftime to give the Battlehawks the 17-9 lead going into half. That's the XFL long this year. Had to spotlight that, man. I mean, that's just huge. But I also want to spotlight Matthew Eberly. Let's take this to Seattle Sea Dragons, Arlington Renegades on Friday night. Matthew Everly, the kicker for Seattle. We'll get into the situation here. So let me take you into this game here. Just under 7 minutes left in the game. The Arlington Renegades stop the Sea Dragons, and the Sea Dragons are forced to kick three. So Matthew Everly comes out and knocks down a 43-yard field goal to extend the Sea Dragon lead. Bob Stoops, the Arlington coach, throws a challenge flag on the field goal, and he's basically challenged for a false start. That is something that you can now do in the XFL because you can challenge anything and everything, even penalties that didn't exist beforehand. He actually won the challenge, and Seattle was forced to re-kick it. And what do you know? Everly walks right back out there, trots right back out there, and just absolutely nails the 48-yard field goal. 5 yards back, didn't matter to him. Just thought that, that was a big play for him because he had come off the field, for a kicker. I mean, he came off the field, thought he had done his job, then has to go back out there, sort of iced, possibly. And just thought that was an awesome play, awesome moment that wasn't going to get talked about. So great job, Eberly and Hagman. You guys are my special teams players of the week.
Yeah. Alrighty, I'll take over here. Let's take it back to San Antonio, where San Antonio's only real progress came in the special teams side. You got to give it up to Fred Brown, who had the long of 96, the first 96-yard kick return, and he had three others that he eventually got up to 123 kick return yards. So great day for him there. And then I'm going to also take a second guy in this game. Brad Wing, taking it back to my last week's segment of Punters Are People Too. Brad Wing, San Antonio's punter, had a long punt of 72 yards. So, I mean, that is crazy, right?
That's a boot, man. That is a boot. You want to get into our play of the week here?
Let's do it.
Who do you got for yours?
Well, I talked about it a bit earlier. De'Aaron King, a beast doing that rollout out there and getting it to the tight end. I forgot again. You got it?
Oh,
Yeah.
I got it. I got it for you. No worries. Keep talking.
Yeah, just a great play by De'Aaron King, rolling out, somehow getting his body and hips around to somehow fling that ball perfectly in the hands of tight end. I'm going to take a guess here.
Riley Moore. Yay! There you go.
Yeah, we got it.
Nice. Good stuff, dude. All right. So, my play of the week, I'm surprised that yours wasn't this. And I know you kind of changed it here last minute. So, you know what? My play of the week is going to be kind of a cheat code. It's literally just going to be look up Brahmas Vipers in YouTube, and that's my highlight. That's my play of the week. Literally the entire game. It felt like there was a highlight play every other play in that game. I mean, just the fade route by Fred Brown, the Sean Price stiff arm for the touchdown, the Fred Brown kickoff return, the Rod Smith hurdle. I mean, the John Lovett touchdown. I mean, there was so much to choose from. That is my play of the week, the entire game.
That's a great pick there. Can I take an honorable mention?
Oh, of course.
Let's bring it over to Orlando Guardians, a guy who we didn't really give enough love to when we covered this game. Jordan Thomas, the big wide receiver out there for the Guardians, had an outstanding catch for a touchdown going over the top of a defender. It was a great catch, and you saw how much it meant to him on the sidelines as he was in tears afterwards, just getting a chance to play this game professionally, and you love to see that.
Great shout out, John. That is what we like to see. All right, so that was our week 7 in review, an action-packed one at that. Let's get into around the XFL this week. We have some news. We have news from 2 teams, one in the north, one in the south. Let's get to the north team here. It was a signing by the Seattle Sea Dragons. Philip Lindsay, 2-time 1,000-yard rusher in the NFL, Colorado kid, signed with the Broncos as an undrafted free agent in 2018. 2018 and 2019, he had 1,000-yard rushing seasons with the Broncos. 2020, he was then cut after that. In 2021, he played with the Texans, the Dolphins, and the Colts. But now he's getting a chance at 28 years old to play with the Seattle Sea Dragons with the already stacked offense. John, how do we feel about this signing, man?
I think it's a good signing. I think Seattle has lacked some production from the running back position the last few weeks, and I think if he's still playing at the caliber that he can give him that production at the running back position and maybe give a spark for them like Abram Smith is doing over in DC. But again, this team is heavily pass focused, so he might get into the game and get into the passing game as well and give them another option there.
He is a very good receiver. I am super stoked about this signing. I love Philip Lindsay. I thought he was awesome to watch for the Broncos. Never really knew what happened to him. I know the Sea Dragons are going through some injuries at the running back position right now, so it felt like a great time to sign a guy like Lindsay. Super excited for this. The guy hasn't even hit 30 yet, and I know for us fantasy football players, usually around 30 is where the age cutoff is for I'm not taking this running back anymore in fantasy football. But that's a completely different conversation. But it's a conversation about production, and I think Lindsay still has a little bit left in the tank, man.
Yeah, I know his career kind of got put him on the sideline because of injuries, but hopefully he can prove he's still that guy, and maybe this is his path back into a starting or maybe a tandem running back position in the NFL.
Speaking of injuries, we're going to go to Arlington as the Renegades have placed Drew Plitt on injured reserve after just trading for Luis Perez a week ago. I mean, John, do we expect him to start this week?
I would hope he starts. I mean, who else do they have? The Kevin Anderson guy that came in the last week for Drew Plitt on one play where he got a 5-yard completion. I mean, they gotta change something up, and the reason they got Luis Perez was to get that change up, right? And Luis Perez has shown that he can give some production there, and he's actually played pretty well and better than Drew Plitt. And yeah, I think he will be a good option to go to. If he's not the guy to win them a game, then I don't know, call it a season for Arlington.
Yeah, for me, it really felt like against Seattle, they got the run game going. Devion Smith, 12 carries, 61 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was a beast. Both those coming on the goal line, so context needed there. But still a beast. Still had a great game. Letty Brown, 8 carries, 34 yards. It felt like Arlington definitely got the run game going. But the problem for them all year has been going for that deep play, try to stretch the field a little bit so teams would stop playing the run.
Yeah.
And Plitt just couldn't hit anybody deep. He threw a really bad interception to Quintero Cole, who spun his body around to pick it off, but it was just a duck of a ball.
Yeah.
So at this point, they need a guy who can stretch the field, and Perez could definitely do that. We saw him with the New Jersey Generals last year, who led the USFL North going into the playoffs. I mean, Luis Perez could definitely sling it. He's got an arm. So it's becoming now or never, if you ask me, for Arlington. They got to get something going if they even want to have a chance to get to the championship game, get past Houston or San Antonio or Orlando. I mean, it's time, man. It's time. Luis Perez has got to step up
Yeah,
and
they
give
gotta.
this team a spark.
Yeah, they gotta start putting some room between them and San Antonio.
Right, and not a lot of room not a lot of room between those two teams. Only game separates them through 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Speaking of the standings, man, let's get into our Week 8 playoff picture. Do we want to start in the South?
Let's go for it.
All right, so I'm gonna list these records out for us. The Houston Roughnecks are sitting at the top of the division at 4-3 after going on a 3-game losing streak. Yikes. The Arlington Renegades are 3-4 in second place. The San Antonio Brahmas are 2-5, and the Orlando Guardians pick up their first win, still at the bottom of the pile though, at 1-6. John, we kind of alluded to this earlier, and I really wanted to get into this. I don't think Orlando's done, man. I think they have a chance. They played the Arlington this week in a game in which they're favored. Yeah, I spoiled it. It's okay. They're favored. They're at home. Then the next week, they travel to play the Brahmas. And then in week 10, they play the Battlehawks in St. Louis, which will be a tough game. But, John, these next 2 weeks, very winnable.
Yeah.
I mean, that would put Orlando at 3 wins if they could somehow pull those two games out. And they're right in the thick of things. What are the odds that this team gets back in the playoff race?
I think very high, purely because, well, the other teams in there, they're gonna need some help. So Arlington, San Antonio, they are one of them is actually no, both of them are gonna have to lose pretty much the rest of their games, and that's very possible as neither of these teams have been playing very well the whole season. Orlando starting to pick things up, beating the best team, arguably, in the league in DC last week. Yeah, I think they can get there. They just need to stay on this track and do a lot of what they did last week in the next 3 weeks we have left in the season.
Yeah, and looking at those next 3 weeks, let me break down the schedule for you. So this weekend, the Arlington Renegades travel to play the Orlando Guardians. So that's one that Orlando is going to have to win in this scenario.
Yeah.
And then the Brahmas host the Roughnecks, which I know the Roughnecks have been fading recently, but I don't know, man. I still think that they should be able to beat the Brahmas, who have also been a train wreck themselves as of late. Then in week 9, the Brahmas host the Guardians. So again, in this scenario, let's say the Guardians have to pull one out. And then the Renegades travel to DC to play the Defenders. I don't care what happens this week. I don't see Arlington walking out of that building with a
Unless
W at all.
DC is benching their guys, which they might not
I
have
don't
the
think it's going to
luxury of
happen the way
doing
the
that
North
after
is heated
taking
up.
the L.
Right, exactly. And then in the final week of the season, I'm sure the Guardians play the Battlehawks, but the Brahmas play the Defenders and the Renegades play the Roughnecks. So it's easily possible that Orlando goes on a little 3-game run here with the DC win, the Arlington game, and the Brahmas game. And maybe they don't even need to win the final week to get into the playoffs, even though you never know. Battlehawks, we'll see what they're looking like in week 10. But
Yeah,
definitely very possible for Orlando to get back in this. And I think that's the race at this moment, right? I mean, I just kind of broke the schedule down for you.
definitely.
Um, I guess the only other question that needs to be asked here is, can the Roughnecks hold on to that number 1 spot so they host the division championship game? Again, like they said, they travel to play the Brahmas this weekend, and in week 9 they host the Vegas Vipers, who, I mean, just picked up a good win, and Jalen McClendon looks good. We'll see how he looks in 2 weeks. And then in the final week of the season, they travel to Arlington to play the Renegades. So I guess the question for me to you is, man, can Houston hold on to that number 1 spot?
I mean, you'd hope so. They've played well through the first 4 weeks. Now they're taking a bit of a detour on a bad loss streak, but you have to think Wade Phillips is going to get these guys going at some point, right? They can't just lose the rest of their games.
What does Houston need to do to prevent or just stop this losing streak, stop the bleeding?
Like you were saying earlier, start getting an actual scheme for Cole McDonald and not just reuse the ones they had for Brandon Silvers. Maybe start implementing more plays that are meant to go deep rather than, oh, there's a deep route on this play. But they just need some production coming from the passing game, and I don't know if they'll be able to do that, but that's where they need to improve.
All right, man. I think that's it for the South Division. Things get clearer or muddier, I guess, as the
Yeah,
weeks go by. A lot will clear up after this weekend, I think, or maybe not. Who knows?
we'll see.
Who knows anymore? Let's go to the North, though. I'll read this out to you. The DC Defenders sit at the top of the mountain at 6-1, even following their loss to Orlando.
Yeah.
In second place, we have the St. Louis Battlehawks at 5-2. Seattle right there with them at 5-2, but the Battlehawks have the tiebreaker from the earlier matchup in the season, where they won on Thursday Night Football in Week 2 on the last second field goal comeback. And the Vegas Vipers at the bottom of the heap at 2-5. We'll start there. Can the Vipers get back in this race? I mean, they're basically going to need everything to go right for them.
Yeah,
Probably not,
next
right?
week will be the real tell week to see what happens for the Vegas's playoff hopes, as they need both St. Louis and Seattle to lose to still be able to get there. But I don't see Vegas being able to climb the ladder here, as if they were to do that, they have to win all their games, first of all, and they also need St. Louis and Seattle to lose all their games, which I do not see that happening.
All right. They need a win out and a lose out. I mean, at this point, you need it all to go perfect for you. And Vegas traveling into St. Louis to play the Battlehawks. I mean, if I guess if you want your destiny to be controlled by anybody, it'd be you. So,
Yeah.
but good luck, Vegas. I wish you guys luck in that building because it's gonna be tough. Um, do you want to talk? I mean, I don't. How do we want to group this? Because last week it was okay. Who's coming? Who's getting the second place spot between the Battlehawks and the Sea Dragons? But now it's like, do we group the defenders in that group now? Like
I
one
think
of these teams is
we
going to get left out,
have
man.
to, right?
I think we have to.
Yeah.
I guess now the question, instead of can DC hold on to number one and who's going to be left out of between the Battlehawks and the Sea Dragons, is who's going to get left out between all three of those teams.
Yeah, I don't know. I think DC will retain a playoff spot, just having that only one loss at this point in the season. But who knows? They could go on a loss streak like Houston has. But I think St. Louis and Seattle, that's a real battle here of who can either leap DC if they lose, or who can leap one another if DC stays up top. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I can't really make any bold claims, as all these teams are pretty good. And yeah, I can't make any bold claims right now.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to predict right now. But if you want to see what happens in this North Division playoff race, I have two games for you that you need to watch. Defenders, Sea Dragons, this Sunday in Lumen Field. That's going to be a one to watch. We'll get more into that matchup with our Vegas view. But then in Week 9, I can already tell you that this is going to be our Team 9 game of the week. It's Sea Dragons Battlehawks in St. Louis. That's going to be another one to watch. But those are the two games that I think are really going to decide this division.
Oh yeah, that sounds very plausible that this division will come down to those two games.
All right, I think that was it for our Week 8 playoff picture.
Yeah.
All right, let's look ahead to kind of a newly formatted segment. This is still our look ahead segment where we give you all the info you need to tune into the games this weekend. But we also have, if you want to go to the game in person, we have some info for you with our Ticket Tycoon segment. Felix and John, take it away, my friends.
Yes, of course. So we'll start with our normal look ahead, and then John will kind of just pop in here and there and, provide some info on the tickets. So heading into week 8, obviously some intense games, high stakes for the playoffs as that draws closer. We have 2 Saturday games and 2 Sunday games. So first up, The 2-5 Vipers are heading into the Dome at America Center in St. Louis to play the 5-2 Battlehawks. That is on Saturday, April 8th at 1:12 Central. My bad. And then after that, also a Saturday game, the 3-4 Renegades going into the Camping World Stadium in Orlando to play the 1-6 Guardians. That is also on Saturday, as mentioned, and that is 4-3 Central. Um, Roughnecks, the 4-3 Roughnecks are heading into the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. 2-5 Brahmas on Sunday, April 9th at 3-2 Central. And last, our Team 9 game of the week. So as we mentioned last week, if you have to watch one game, this should be the game you should keep your eyes on and really tune in here. Big playoff stakes. The 6-1 Defenders heading into Lumen Field to play Seattle. 5-2 Sea Dragons. This is on Sunday, April 9th as well, 7-6 Central.
Alrighty.
Yeah, like I highlighted, man, I think this is going to be the one that could decide the North. That and the Sea Dragons Battlehawks game next week.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's get
John, do you
into
got ticket prices
the
for us?
tickets. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
go for it.
as mentioned, we got the Battlehawks, and they're playing in the former St. Louis Rams Stadium, if you did not know that. At the Dome at America's Center in St. Louis, we got tickets as low as $27. They are selling the 400 tickets, or at least some of them. Those are going to be your $27 tickets there. You got a few club tickets in the 300s at around $32. A nice deal there. If you want to get in the middle of the field at maybe like the 140s on the Battlehawks sideline at the top of that section, you're going to have to pay $86. And at the bottom, you're going to have to pay $259. I mean, for an XFL game, this might be one of the more expensive ones we've seen, except maybe when St. Louis first went home, that week 3, I think it was, or right? Week 4?
I think it would have been week 4 because I
week
remember
4.
they played their first 3 games on the road and then they came home
Yeah,
for the
already.
Renegades.
All in all, some good deals here if you're not looking to spend a lot of money, and if you want to take a look at a NFL stadium or a previous NFL stadium while you're at it, it's a great opportunity to do so if you're in St. Louis or just passing through and need something to do for a Saturday.
Yeah, man. I just gotta mention it really quick, dude. I mean, this is probably the best atmosphere in the XFL, and you
Oh
said
yeah,
you can experience for what, $27 just for the 400s?
yeah, just for the 400s.
I mean, I've watched games in the 300s or 400s or 400s. It's still a good experience. You still get to see the field. You still get to hear the noise. I guess the $200 tickets or whatever right by the field are a little crazy, but I'd be willing to pay $86 or whatever in the middle, like you were saying, down low. I mean, that's pretty damn good. If you can get NFL tickets in those spots under $100 nowadays, I mean, that's a steal.
That is a steal indeed. Hey, if I was in St. Louis, I'd be going to these games.
Yeah, so would I, man.
All right, let's take it over to Orlando, where we see a bit of low ticket prices, kind of the opposite side of the spectrum here.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't really sell much other than the 100 section, and tickets here are as low as $3 on the end zones. If you want to get a midfield ticket near one of the sidelines, you got $37 as at the low there, probably at the back, and if you want to get up to the front, $121. I don't know how great the atmosphere is. It hasn't looked amazing, but as the Guardians look to be picking up the football level that they're playing at, it might be a good chance to experience some good football at a really cheap value if you're in Orlando. And hey, they might be giving out tickets again this week, so keep your eyes out for that.
Right. I would say 2 things here. I mean, it's interesting to see like what the how many people will be there, because I know the what Orlando does is they seem to cut off one side of the field so you can't buy tickets on that side, and they make you buy tickets on the side where the cameras are shown on TV. So if the cameras go up while you're watching the game, you'll see all the fans, so
Yeah.
it looks more packed than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But I mean, they just beat the DC Defenders, the best team in the XFL. So it'll be interesting to see what the turnout is. And then also check, like I said, check their social media. I think I'm not sure what their all their handles are, but definitely check their Twitter. I've seen them will be giving out free tickets to people. So if you just want some free XFL tickets, please take a look at that. I really think that's gonna be a fun game.
Yeah, it should be a good one. All right, let's head on over to the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, where Houston is playing. The Houston Roughnecks are playing the Brahmas. The Alamo Dome, they don't sell much else, but this is actually fairly expensive when it comes to XFL games, as the lows are at $23, and that's for a ticket in the corner of the 100 seats, so the lower bowl there. You want a ticket on the home sideline. The low is going to be at $75 there. Pretty good deal, if I say so myself. The high there, and at the real field level, you're going to have around $276, so just under 300. I don't know if that's worth it going to this game, but hey, if that's good for you, that's good for you. Yeah, not much else to say here. The Alamo Dome is a big stadium, so they only really need to sell the 100s to get a few thousand people in there. But it should be well, hopefully it will be a good game, as
Site of the XFL championship game.
yeah.
Seeing it's
Okay,
at the
I was
Alamo
wondering
Dome.
about this. Are all the playoff games played there?
No. So here's the thing. That's what's interesting about the getting the one seed and home field advantage and everything or whatever in your division is you get the home playoff game, but then it's like the Super Bowl where you have to travel basically.
Okay.
For the big game, neither team gets a home field advantage unless you're San Antonio or any Texas team,
Exactly.
I guess,
Yeah, I don't know, because
which is
I heard,
literally which is more than half the South Division. So
yeah.
everyone pray that Orlando makes a historic championship run here.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just wondering because I heard the people on the broadcast talking about that, and I thought I heard them say all playoffs are in the Alamo Dome. But
Not that I know of.
alrighty.
I'm pretty sure that they've actually moved. I think it was a Sunday they had the I forgot what day, but there was apparently there's supposed to be like a DC United game
Oh,
like
really?
the same weekend as that championship game, and with all the obviously DC kind of ruined this entire thing with at lost to Orlando, but there was talk about having to move the data like switch the dates of those games or whatever to compensate for the that game because they play in the same field, but just
Yeah.
something to keep in mind.
Alrighty. Our last game of the weekend as we go over to Lumen Field in Seattle, another NFL stadium. This is where the Seattle Seahawks play. And the low there is going to be $17 for a ticket on the end zone. The stadium is pretty cool looking. And on the sidelines, you're going to be looking at tickets as low as $81, going up to $227. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much the same on both sidelines. Um, it's a cool stadium. I think if you get the chance, and if you're in Seattle, it's a great place to just sit in and experience a game in that arena. Maybe if you're just getting into football or something, or if you're just passing through again, need a way to kill some time on a Sunday night. That might be the thing for you. And yeah, I think that will be a good game as the Defenders go into Seattle, the best team, arguably playing one of the other better teams. This is a playoff race game here. Again, we said it was our game of the week and the one you needed to watch. So, for a nice $17, you could get seats to maybe a playoff game coming up.
Yeah, man. I mean, this feels like a playoff atmosphere to me. It's going to be in Seattle. That's Lumen Field. That place is a world class stadium, a world class NFL stadium.
Oh yeah.
Definitely get the chance to visit it if you can. This is going to be a playoff type atmosphere for this game. I really do think so. Again, this game is crucial. I know we may think that DC might just have their ticket punched to the playoffs already, but if they lose this one, anything is possible. So,
Yeah.
definitely buckle your seatbelts for this one. This is going to be a wild ride. Definitely try and go if you're in the Seattle, Washington area.
Yes.
All right, so that was our a look ahead and ticket tycoon segments. Thank you guys. Appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
No problem.
All right, well, let's go into our week 8 Vegas view. We're getting down to the stretch here. Last week I went 8-4. John went 7-5, only one
Oh,
pick behind me.
I
So
did.
I
I
got to
thought I
pick his
did worse than
profile
that.
picture, and I did Jalen McClendon's beautiful mug.
Oh yeah.
That's his profile picture for the week. Any complaints about it, John? You're pretty fine with it, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't actually know he was gonna start, so that's why I picked San Antonio to win last week. I guess.
Yeah, but be honest, if he started, you wouldn't have picked him anyway. The
That
motherfucker hasn't started since 2018. Come
that
on,
is that is
stop it,
fair.
stop it.
Uh, moving
Anyway,
on.
yeah, moving on to our season-long records. I'm at 31-17. John, you're at 21-23. Again, all it takes is one big week. I like the swing you took on San Antonio. On the broadcast they were talking about how they were a surprise, that Vegas was a surprise favorite in that one. So I liked you taking them in that one. That was a fun game to watch because of it. Also, just because the game was crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into our picks this week, man. This is a week of rematches. All these games have previously happened, and a lot of them look a lot different. Let's go to the Vegas Vipers and the St. Louis Battlehawks. These two teams met 2 weeks ago, and already so much has changed. Luis Perez is no longer the starting quarterback,
He's no longer on the
and
roster.
he's no longer even on the roster. He is on a completely different team. And now the Vipers are on the road, and they're 7-point underdogs. The over/under is at 46.5. John, with everything changing so much since the previous matchup, what do you think on this one?
Well, I think I gotta give it to St. Louis here. Being at home, this crowd is absolutely phenomenal. Uh, I don't know if they're gonna cover the spread, so I'm just for right now. I'm gonna say St. Louis money line, and I think it's gonna go over. These are two pretty good offenses. Thinking back to last week with Vegas, I know their offense has changed quite a bit throughout the whole season, so we'll see if they can stay consistent for once. But I'm still going to say, yeah, that's the reason I'm going to take St. Louis. And I'll take the Vipers to cover the spread here because I think usually these games can get pretty close.
Yeah. I like those picks. I'm definitely going to take the St. Louis money line here. I definitely think they get this win, knock the Vipers out of the playoffs. I just think there's so much pressure on them in this game coming in because they got to play perfect, and they even are going to need some help. And that's the only way they can even get in the playoffs. So there's gonna be a lot of pressure on them going into this building, especially with how loud that place is already. Obviously, St. Louis crushed Vegas a couple weeks ago. McClendon adds a different layer to this offense, which is mobility, which
Yeah.
I think is interesting. But at the same time, it felt like the Battlehawks really kept Houston in the last game with those fumbles. I don't think Brian Hill's going to be fumbling again. And I'm going to say history repeats itself in this one. I think Battlehawks are going to cover the spread. And over under 46.5. Well, the last time it was what's it called? It was excuse me, St. Louis doing all the heavy lifting in the spread. Obviously, completely different matchup here with different quarterback. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like that saying, history repeats itself. So I'm going to say it again. History repeats itself.
Alright.
We're going to say under on this one. Under 46 and a half.
Oh yeah. All our odds are provided by Caesars Sportsbooks, and
Oh, let me mention that.
yeah.
Excuse me. Thank you. So all odds are provided by Caesar Sportsbook. Those are the odds that you'll see on your ESPN broadcast. Lines are subject to change. We are recording this on Wednesday night, or Tuesday night, excuse me, Wednesday morning now for me. Time zones. And yeah, lines are subject to change. In fact, this Seattle line has moved 1 point in favor of Seattle since I saw it this morning. So that just shows you that they are always being updated, and they will not always be the final lines that you see on the broadcast. Anyway, let's go down to Orlando, as the Arlington Renegades are playing the Orlando Guardians, who are favored for the first time this year. Yes, people, it happened. It happened. The Guardians are favored in a game this year. Imagine that.
It's crazy.
Crazy, crazy stuff. Um, I mean, this is a weird one. The Guardians favored by 1 in this one, so this is basically a pick 'em. The over/unders at 42. John, how do you feel on this one? This is a weird one to me.
Uh, I, based on what happened last week, I gotta take Orlando here. I'm gonna take their money line, and there's no way this they gotta cover
It's
the
impossible.
spread,
I mean,
right?
it's
If they
impossible. You
win,
have to take the spread.
so there's no such thing as losing by half a point or winning by
Right.
half a point. Sorry. So I'm gonna take Orlando money line, and they're gonna cover the spread. Just don't see how Arlington, even with a new quarterback, he's only been there for what, 2 weeks? Will it be?
Right.
I just, I just don't see how they could possibly just rebound that quickly after taking that. Yeah. Uh, Speaking on the over under here, I'm gonna take the over. Orlando scored a lot of points last week, and I think Arlington will get a few there.
Yeah, they nearly covered this themselves. This game looks a lot different compared to the one back in week number 3. That was a battle between Paxton Lynch and Kyle Sloter. That game ended in 10-9 finish. And only a couple weeks later, this over-under is now at 42 in the rematch. So that just shows you how much things change. Arlington now has a completely new quarterback with Luis Perez starting, and Orlando has formerly convicted quarterback Quentin Doherty. So things definitely change fast in this league. I mean, I think Orlando's like keen for a run here, man. I mean, their backs are against the wall, but they last time their backs were against the wall, they played lights out against DC.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say they get this one done. They're at home again. They got the home crowd around them, so I'm gonna take that spread. I'm gonna take that money line. And the over under, I mean, they nearly covered this last week themselves against one of the best defenses in the league.
Exactly.
And you got to think that Luis Perez will get. I think he's going to be a lot better than what we've seen out of Drew Plitt the past couple of weeks. So give me the over on the 42. Are we complete same on that one?
I
Completely
think
same.
so, yeah.
Perfect. All right. Spread, money line, and over. Or Guardians spreads, Guardians money line, and the over. All right, let's go to San Antonio for a Texas-sized matchup between the Houston Roughnecks and the San Antonio Brahmas. The Roughnecks are 4-point favorites in this one, over under at 41. John, do you got any? What do you got on this one? What are you thinking?
This is a maybe if you're just looking at this face value 4-3, 2-5, it's maybe easy to say the Roughnecks will come out and destroy San Antonio, but I just don't think that's the case as Houston has been struggling the last 3 weeks as they lost 3 in a row here. I hate to do it again, but I'm going to. I'm calling the San Antonio upset.
Wow, he's calling it. He's calling the Brahmas upset, huh?
It's got to work
Okay.
for me one of these times, right?
What makes you think the Brahmas are going to pull this one out?
I think they have a decent defense, and I don't think the passing attack will get fixed by next week for Houston. And I just think San Antonio, while their offense isn't great either, I think they'll get maybe that opening drive touchdown again and maybe some good kick returns to set them up in good field position for a few field goals.
Okay, you know what? I like the reasoning on that one. That was good. That was good. I'm just looking at a
I'm gonna take
couple
the
of
under there,
old.
though.
Look at I just think it's funny to look at like the rematches because these are all rematches, right?
Yeah.
And just look how different these teams are compared to the first couple of weeks when they played each other. The Roughnecks now have Cole McDonald starting. The Brahmas now have Kurt Benker, who wasn't even on the team when that first game was played. That being said, I gotta take the Roughnecks in this one. I think the Vipers laid the blueprint on how to beat the Brahmas last week. Scrambling.
That's fair.
Let Jalen McClendon give him a quick read. Give Cole McDonald a quick read. That's what Silvers I felt like was good at early in the season, where they just kind of let him stand in there and let him just deliver a strike over the middle, just really quick. Do something quick, and then have like a couple read option plays like they did with McClendon. So give me the Roughnecks money line. Give me their spread high for me. Because I know San Antonio, I feel like San Antonio's not going to do shit. They got lucky to score 12 against the Vegas last week. I mean, that was pretty pathetic. And San Antonio can hold their own. So I'm going to go under on the 41.
Alrighty.
Were you over or under on that one? You took the under, right?
Yeah, I took the under.
You took the under, but you're riding on San Antonio.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go to Seattle. where this is the only matchup where it feels like things haven't really changed. I mean, both these teams are still the same quarterback. And last time these two teams met in week one, opening night, Sunday night football, Ben DiNucci had a little option play on the goal line. Looked like a little shovel option type play. And he fumbled the football. DC fell on it, and they won the game. Incredible ending to one of the first XFL games this season. Um, I mean, things have definitely changed for both sides, just not at the quarterback spot. Um, I'm gonna go. This is a weird one for me. If Seattle wins this one, and let's say St. Louis gets it done against the Vegas Vipers, the lonely Vegas Vipers, that means that each team would be sitting at 6-2 through 8 weeks, which is absolutely crazy. And I'm here for the chaos. So I'm gonna take the Seattle Sea Dragons to cover the spread. I'm gonna give them their money line and over under 47.5. What did this game hit last time? 88, 18 plus 22, so that 30, or is it 40? It hit 40 last time. Under. Under in that one. But I'm gonna go with Seattle in this one. I feel like I mean they've just been trending up recently, and I think I just have to ride with that.
Yeah. Uh, I, I like that pick. I think Seattle's doing some good things. I just think DC is gonna be hungry to get a win after losing to the 0-6 Orlando Guardians. So I'm gonna take the DC money line here, and I'm also gonna take them to cover. And I will take the over here.
Over 47.5. What makes
Yeah.
you go over?
Some two explosive offenses that can score the ball really well. I just don't think the Seattle defense can stop enough.
Uh, I might go over now. No, no, I'm not going over. I'm not gonna go over. You're not gonna make me do it. You're not gonna make me do it. I just think it's crazy that if Seattle pulls this one out, every team's gonna be 6-2. That's wild with 2 weeks left.
Yeah.
I think that could be fun. I'm gonna ride with Seattle in this one. All right, let's go over our picks for this week. So between the Vegas Vipers and the St. Louis Battlehawks, I had the Battlehawks spread, Battlehawks money line, and the under. Right? Yeah, under.
I think
I
so.
was under on
Yeah.
that one. What do you got, John?
St. Louis, right?
Yeah, St. Louis, Vegas.
Yeah, I got St. Louis money line. Las Vegas covers, and it's gonna go over 46.5.
I like it, bit of aggressive play.
Yeah.
Between the Arlington Renegades and the Orlando Guardians, I took their money line, and with this spread basically being at a pick 'em, you can take that spread as well. Over under 42, I said over, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
over. Yeah, because of the different
And I
quarterbacks.
had the same as you there, so
Cool. All right, between the Roughnecks and the Brahmas, in a little Texas-sized matchup, I got the Roughnecks to cover the 4-point spread, which means I got their money line, and I had the under 41 total points.
yeah, I'm calling an upset here. You kind of got the chaos
Ooh,
in the north. I got the
yeah.
chaos in the south.
You got chaos on both. You technically have defenders technically
That is
underdogs on the
true.
road.
Seattle's technically favored.
I mean, it's not a bad pick to take the team with the better record, and they beat them all before.
Yeah. Anyways, staying with San Antonio here. San Antonio, I think, will pull it out here somehow with the money line, which means they will cover, and I think it's gonna be more defensively heavy though, so I think it's gonna go under 41.
All right, and then we head down to Seattle for Team Nine's game of the week. I got the Sea Dragons money line and the Sea Dragons -2 spread. I just feel like again, if think about this, man, all the way back in week one, which would have been what like 7 weeks ago now. If Ben DiNucci doesn't fumble on the goal line, I think we'll see both these teams a little bit differently.
That is true.
I know his red zone turnovers have been a big deal, but I mean, that was the different from his interceptions. That was just one where he just didn't hold on to the ball. The interceptions are a little bit more just reads. I feel like it's a different type of turnover. It's still a turnover,
That's fair.
but it's a different type of turnover. So I'm gonna run with Seattle this time. It seems like even as they have turned the ball over against good teams lately, or teams playing good football, they've been able to pull it out in the end. So I'm gonna rock with Seattle on this one. And then I took the under. 47.5 seems very high, but I could easily see that hitting. It's these are the two best offenses probably
Yeah.
close to it.
I am taking everything the exact opposite of you.
It's gonna be a crazy one to watch, isn't it?
DC money line,
Jesus.
DC covers, and over 47.5.
So I'm on all the favorites, and you're on what? Two dogs?
Hopefully.
Yeah, you're on two dogs. You're on San Antonio and DC. That's going to be a fun Sunday for you, or
Yeah.
not, either one.
We'll see what happens.
Whatever the football gods decide to do to you.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was our Week 8 Vegas view for an upcoming week of amazing games. All right, well, let's get around to our around the USFL segment. We are indeed Team 9 in XFL and USFL podcast. I do have an announcement to make. With the USFL starting not this weekend but next, we are now announcing that will be doing 2 shows a week. Do we know when those shows will be releasing during the week? No, not really, but it'll probably be 2 separate days.
Yeah.
So you will have a designated XFL show and a designated USFL show. So if you like if you only like the XFL content, then you can go to that show. And if you only like the USFL content, you can go to that show. I also feel like it spaces out the content better, so it's easier to digest. So you have that way it's not like just one podcast that you're listening to for a couple of days. It's 2 episodes that you can listen to, one each day. So just wanted to announce that. But while we're gonna do our around the USFL segment next week is gonna be chaotic, or our USFL show is gonna be chaotic next week. We just wanted to do something nice, lighthearted, and fun. So we are doing a uniform tier maker segment here on the show. All 8 teams, we rank them ourselves, and now we're gonna kind of discuss the uniforms. John, who do you want to go over first here, bud?
Let's take the Michigan Panthers.
Oh goodness, this is gonna be a divided one, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Me neither. All right. Who wants to take the floor with this one first?
I'm happy with them being at a solid C tier.
I meant like express your opinion on it, not just be like, hey, they're a C tier.
My bad.
We should also mention we're making this on tiermaker.com.
Yeah.
You can find the tier. You can find this tier maker. What is the US 2023 USFL jersey tier list maker, and it is by Team 9 Pod, which you can look at.
Yeah, we'll put.
Oh yeah, we'll have the link in the description and the show notes on Spotify.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So what do we? I don't. It's weird. It's a weird uniform because it's like they have that gold, and then they have that like maroon color, but then it's like
A blue.
that light blue too. Like
Yeah.
it strangely kind of works, but it's like my brain doesn't like it. My brain really does not like it.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't think the helmet works with the uniform, but if we're only ranking the uniforms, I think they're decent.
I mean, we're ranking the entire like uniform. I would say like, the entire.
I mean, if I'm being completely honest here, I don't like it that much. I don't think it's like. I think I put it in D tier personally. I don't think it's. I think they could have gone with a better design here, but I also don't think it's like mind-bendingly horrible or anything. I just don't think out of the group that we have, it's on the upper echelon. So I'm gonna put it in D tier.
I have it in D as well, just for like those. Like I said, I just those colors just don't work with my brain. It's just the like color theory behind it. Like there's no. It's just like I feel like I want to like it, but it's like I'm just not.
Yeah.
I have D. John, I respect the C, but it's like they're right next to each other. So why don't we just put it in D? Because I know me and Felix had it in D.
All right.
But we can put it in D for now.
Okay.
Yeah, we can always reevaluate afterwards.
Okay.
Right. We can always move it according to the other uniforms. We're about to find out.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the generals.
Oh, I really like this one. Red's my favorite color, so maybe I'm biased, but like the helmet is like it has the logo, which looks cool, and it's just like this clean red white combo. I mean, for me, it's right now. I have it up there with another jersey that I really like. It's in S tier for me right now, man.
S tier, okay. So going bold there.
I'm very
Um,
high on it.
Personally, I have it in A tier. I do like it a lot. I like the simple design. I'm kind of a sucker for simple designs generally. I think a crazy design can work on occasion, but I think most of the time it ends up going wrong. And I think, simple is the way to go generally. So I have this in A tier. I think it's a really solid uniform. No major complaints. I think it looks clean. I think it'll look good out on the field. So yeah, A tier for me.
Uh, I'm not on the same page here.
Oh God, I'm ready to put this in like C because John's had us at like D.
I did D.
Uh, well, I like the other red uniforms here better, and I don't know,
Okay.
it just wasn't my favorite anyways, so I put it at a solid C tier.
Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's the best jersey there is, but I think the way I think of A is like solid. Like that's a good jersey, so I put in A. I think a
Right.
B kind of like average, so I think it was a little above that.
Mhm.
I do think it's simple, but like I said, I like that kind of look, so I just threw it there because I think it's solid. So yeah, A
It was
tier.
like the white pants for me. Like the white pants with like the red jersey, like that is just like such a nice combo. But okay, so we're pretty split on this one mostly. I mean, are we fine with putting in B like kind of in the middle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're
let's roll
pretty
with that. That's fine with me.
fine
I
with
was
B right
debating
now.
putting it. When I was making my tier list personally, I was debating putting it in B or A tier. I was kind of on the fence, so B is
Okay.
completely fine with me.
And I was debating between putting it S and A, so let's do B.
Alrighty.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Cool.
Let's move on here. Going to Pittsburgh Maulers.
I mean,
Pittsburgh.
dude, the recolor man
What's
is
not to
sick,
like
dude.
about this, right?
I mean, it's classic Steelers, right? It's so much better than the purple and orange. What the hell was that shit last
Yeah,
year,
I don't
dude?
know where they were
I
going with
get it was
that.
like that the historic stuff, but like, damn, that was terrible. I get it's what the old Pittsburgh Maulers used to rock, but damn, black and
Black and
yellow, that's just a
leather.
Pittsburgh thing, man. I had these in A tier.
I also have them in A tier. I think they're very solid once again. Black and yellow can't go wrong. Pittsburgh jersey is always a solid option. So A tier for me. One complaint I would say is like this the shoulders are a little more squared off, which is a little questionable to me,
Yeah,
but other than that, I like it.
I agree. I think A tier is good here.
We all like A.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I think my only knock in the from from S tier is that it's not like an original like color
Yeah,
scheme or anything, and it doesn't really
like
do
it's
anything.
very
But it's like
very
you
muted.
have to respect the black and yellow. It's Pittsburgh. It's Pittsburgh blood, bro. That's just how it is.
exactly.
Yeah,
You got
exactly.
to respect that.
100%.
So yeah, I think that's where we're at with those.
Yep.
Alrighty, let's go a bit south here, down to New Orleans, the Breakers.
Dude, you guys go first. You guys go first.
Uh,
I have this here. Is it okay if I take it?
yeah, go for it.
Okay, this is my S tier. So I only have one in S tier. Spoiler, I know, but this is in my S tier. I think it meshes very well. I love the colors, the dark blue, the light blue, the white. It just looks great together. I think it all blends very well. I think it'll look great on the field, and I honestly have no complaints. So I think this looks great.
I have to 100% agree with you on everything
Yep,
said there.
let's go. Yeah, S
I
tier for
mean,
me.
I'm the Breakers fan on here. I think we might have to just straight up have a Breakers segment on the fucking show 'cause I'm gonna be watching all the games so closely. Anyway, yeah, dude, these uniforms are icy. I mean, it's like it's really close to like literally the away jersey somehow being better than the home jersey just because of the white on white.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah,
helmet is awesome. Um, I mean the pants go well with either combo, the gray. I mean it's perfect. It's the perfect USFL jersey. It
100%,
looks awesome. It's
100%.
cool. It's awesome. It's a great color scheme. It's awesome. It does everything right. I have it at
Let's
S if you couldn't
see.
tell.
I agree. Let's do it. Throw it in S.
Alrighty, let's take it over to Birmingham.
Oof. Who's got
Okay.
this one?
I guess I can go first.
Go for it.
Um, I like this jersey, honestly. Obviously, it reminds me of the 49ers when I see it just because of the gold and the red
Yeah.
color scheme. But although I'm not a 49ers fan, I don't mind their jerseys, and I actually do think this is a solid jersey. So I threw it an A tier personally. Um, I think it looks good. It's relatively simple. You can't really go wrong with the look, I think. So I just kind of threw it there. I think there could be an argument made for B tier, a little bit in between on the fence there. That in Birmingham and New Jersey were kind of both on the fence of A and B tier for me. So I did end up giving both of them the benefit of the doubt and throwing them in A tier. So that's where I'm sitting at right now.
Yeah, I gave this one a solid A tier, and I said it was like kind of the top. Everything kind of works, although and even
Yeah,
though it's not original in a sense, I still like it, and it's a
that's almost why it
clean.
works.
Yeah, it's a clean and
Yeah,
sleek look.
yeah,
Yeah, for me, man. I mean, like the gold is a little bit too light for me, just a little bit. Like I wish it
Mhm.
was that darker gold, like for
I can
more of
see
that San
that.
Francisco. I actually want them to lean more to the San Francisco 49er thing. But the logo gets great, looks great on the side of the helmet.
Yeah.
It's just a solid jersey, man. I have it at A.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
A. I think we can
We're going
throw it there
top of A
comfortably.
for this one.
Over Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Uh, I didn't have it over Pittsburgh.
I don't know. I kind of like it over Pittsburgh. Just something about those squared shoulders is really kind of triggering to me right now.
Yeah, I'd
John,
have
it's
to
this.
agree. I like it more
John, this is a
than
democracy.
Pittsburgh's.
You're the tiebreaker.
I like it more than Pittsburgh. It's gone top.
All right, let's do it then.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's gonna be the second best jersey in the league.
I think I like it more the more I look at it. Birmingham, that is.
Yeah. Alright, let's round out the red jerseys with a nice Philly.
Oh God.
Here we go.
Okay, dude.
Okay.
I mean, I have a couple things on this jersey.
Yeah.
First of all, what the fuck are these color choices, dude? Red and yellow. We
Okay.
have two hot colors. These colors don't contrast at all, dude.
Second of all,
We have
what
the
the?
mustard, like not even the mustard yellow, just the bright ass like sun yellow helmet with
Yeah,
the
bro.
like it is just.
This
And then
is my thing.
the white jerseys are like a crime against humanity.
What pissed me off was the fucking road tracks on the side of the
Oh my
jersey.
God, I
Like,
was about
what
to
is
comment on
that?
those, dude. No, dude, they're
What
suck.
is that? I hated that. That's why I threw this in D tier because of that. Like that is horrible, bro.
I was
Whoever
so
made that
pissed off that
design is
this team was
horrible.
good enough to make the USFL championship game last year because I had to stare at those uniforms.
Literally, the
So
Panthers have
pissed.
better jerseys.
I
I
threw this
gave
in
it a
D as well.
C. I didn't
I threw
mind
this in D.
that.
The color
I
choice is
threw
so
this in
bad.
D, bro. 100% D.
It's a D.
Is it? Are we moving Michigan up, or what's happening here?
Oh God.
Uh,
Somehow, you know what? Somehow, okay. Both
Low
color
key, we
combos are
might.
like absolutely horrible, but like somehow Michigan is easier on the eyes.
Because it's not as
Yeah, I
bright.
know. The darker color of Michigan is like you can kind of stare at it. I don't. I also don't think the helmets go very good with Michigan. I still think it's a D tier, but I
Okay,
think if there was an F tier, it would be Philly.
gotcha.
Well said, buddy. Well said. I think we need to end it at that.
Yeah.
All right, let's take it over to the Houston Gamblers.
Oh my. Okay, no, I'm starting first on this one too.
Okay.
What,
I know.
okay, Houston. How the fuck do you fuck up black and red, dude? It's impossible. What is that? What are the gray pants? What are the gray pants? Like, please explain those to me. And the gray stripe on the side of the jersey. Ugh. Like, thank God it's black and red, so you guys saved yourself a little bit. This is a C tier jersey, but oh my God,
Yeah.
you guys somehow fucked this up.
I agree. I put this in C tier. I think they tried really hard to make it work, and it didn't quite make it. I do think it's better than Philly and Michigan, just barely. I think it edged itself into C tier, but
Okay,
it's
that's only because
definitely
it's
not
black
anything
and
great.
that's only because it's black and red. That's it.
Yeah, literally the color scheme saved
They
it.
just tried too much.
The
Yeah,
color
they
team
tried too
saved
much.
it and killed it at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what the hell were they thinking with the pants? Like that weird, like bluish gray. Like, dude, just stick with black. Like,
For real,
what are you
bro.
doing?
Yeah, that
Like,
was bad.
please, you're trying too hard.
And the white jersey again is also a crime against humanity. But really, it's those gray
Yeah,
pants. Oh,
it's
give
just
me
pants.
nightmares.
Yeah, like either stick with black, red, white, whatever it is, just not whatever that is.
Right.
So C tier for me.
Alrighty, solid C tier there. Alrighty, last but not least, the new rebranded Tampa Bay Bandits, were they?
Yeah.
They are now the Memphis Showboats.
Who wants this one?
I guess I can take it. I honestly think this is B tier for me. I think it's an average jersey. It's nothing to write home about, but I'm not gonna like complain about it either. I think if you're a Memphis fan, you can be happy about this. And if you're not, then you don't have to complain about looking at it on screen when you're watching the games. So B tier for me, solid jersey, nothing to complain about. Just sticking it there for now.
I'm not gonna lie, I like this better than Pittsburgh's.
Really? Because
I
you're
do
high
like
on
the
this one.
shoulders better.
You're high on this one.
I'd give it higher than Pittsburgh.
And where do you put Pittsburgh in yours?
We have it in A.
Okay,
Yeah, I
but
think
where did you put
did.
them in
I
yours?
put
I'm
Pittsburgh
trying
at
to get your.
B,
Oh, okay.
and I had
I
Memphis
think
at A.
Memphis. One thing that's bothering me about Memphis is they kind of have the yellow fading into the numbers.
Oh, they
You
have the
don't like the
gradient?
gradient?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the gradient on the numbers. I think it would look better if it was just white, honestly.
That's fair. I don't know, I kind of liked it.
If that was the case, I might push it up to A.
I mean, hell, we had a whole segment on this uniform last week, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But for me, it's like it's the definition of B tier. Like the helmets are really cool. I actually really like the matte look to
I
them.
like the logo a lot.
The logo's great.
Yeah.
The name's great. I mean, they get to play in Memphis. I mean, that's pretty damn awesome. The logo's awesome. Like, and then that's what we were talking about on the pod. Like, everything was so awesome with this rebrand. So these jerseys kind of only fell flat only for the fact that the standards were already so high.
Yeah, it was like the expectation kind of lowered it, which shouldn't be the case. It kind of sucks
Right.
that happened, but
Right.
it did.
Like, if these jerseys came out with the rest of the rebrand, if they didn't come out later, then I think people would have been happier about them. But I think this is the definition of a B tier for me.
I really wish Pittsburgh had those shoulders because the squared off thing is just not for me.
That's
I don't know.
true.
Something about it.
Yeah, they're like trying to impersonate their mascot. I don't know what the hell they're doing there.
Yeah. So for me, yeah, B tier.
Is it above
it's a B tier
or
for me.
below the Generals?
I had the Generals
um,
really high.
I know.
I had the Generals above the Showboats. Honestly, I think the Generals are better than Pittsburgh too. So
Right. Okay. Well, so let's put the Showboats at B, below Generals.
Okay.
sure, yeah.
Cool. All right. John, do you want to read out our tier list for us, buddy?
So our only S tier, we got the Breakers down in New Orleans.
Go Waves, baby.
Then in A tier, we had the Birmingham Stallions, and above the Pittsburgh Maulers there in A tier.
Yes.
Down in B, we had the Generals.
I still love you guys.
With the Showboats. And we got C tier, we had the Gamblers, the lone C tiers.
Or like the gray pants. That's what the fucking G stands for. Their logo.
Yeah.
Then in D tier, we have the Michigan Panthers with the Philadelphia Stars. I think that's right.
Yeah, Philadelphia Stars.
All right,
Yeah.
we
I
happy
mean,
with that?
I'm pretty happy with that. We might
Philadelphia
look at
Stars
the right
did basically kill
mascot, bro.
me tier.
I mean, dude, you look up the Philadelphia Stars mascot. His name's Blob, and he's like this. He's literally like a. Please look him up. Everybody, look him up right now.
Sure.
He's ugly. He's a
Wow.
fat Elmo.
Meet Blob, Philly's new and mysterious USFL mascot.
Weird and mysterious, bro. What?
He received more than 65% of the votes. That's why he's the mascot.
Bro, what? People actually voted for this thing to be the
Yeah,
mascot?
on Twitter, a Twitter election.
That sounds
Oh
about
my
right.
god. 63.9% for his official name. Bro. Oh my god. This really represents how I feel about the Stars uniforms right here, is that thing.
The uniforms? Oh,
Blob.
gosh. I could complain about them for the entirety of one of these podcasts if I wanted to.
We probably could, and I'm sure we will during when the season actually starts. But
Yeah.
that was our Around the USFL segment, and other than Off the Wall, that's our show. But let's get into Off the Wall, a segment where we can all bring a topic to the table to discuss. I'm going to start with mine. Spring break starts, I guess, well, now it's Wednesday morning for me now. So it would be starting tomorrow afternoon, and I'm going to be driving down to Seaside, Florida, the closest beach to where I live. And other than Biloxi, Mississippi, but Biloxi's garbage. So,
Ox again.
dude. Anyway, I'll be up in Seaside. I'll be having fun. Hopefully, I'll be back in time for the pod. I should think I should be able to. I don't think they're gonna have a problem
Spring
there.
break, not summer break, right?
It's spring break, yeah,
Okay, cool.
Easter
How long
break.
is that? A
So
week?
I'll be up
2
in
weeks?
Florida for Easter
I
break.
think it's a week and a half.
Week and a half? Okay, that's cool.
That's what mine
Yeah, let
is.
us know how that goes.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Have
have
some fun
fun.
with that.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Who wants to go next?
I guess I can take it away. I'm visiting some colleges over the next few weeks, so I got, some contenders just to see where I'm gonna end up. So kind of excited to see everywhere. Obviously, yeah, big decision, big part of life, next 4 years, so we'll see what happens.
That's
That's
what
right,
I'm doing
babe.
too.
Oh, let's
Is
go.
that
Let's
your,
do
is
it.
that your off the wall?
That was going to be.
Where, I mean, it can still be.
That's
Where,
fine.
what college do you visit? And we can talk about. We get into the
Yeah, let's talk this
specifics,
out.
the
Come on.
nitty gritty. Yeah.
Drexel.
Okay, Drexel, nice, solid,
What are you doing?
great school,
Well,
cool mascot.
go off here.
I'm visiting Gettysburg, Colgate, and UCLA.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, yeah. Never mind. Not gonna dox myself, but yeah,
You already
Gettysburg,
did.
Colgate. No, I didn't. Gettysburg, Colgate, and UCLA. So yeah.
Nice.
I shall be
I
visiting.
live in close to one of those. Hint, hint.
Have
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
You and
You're so funny, buddy. You doxed
Whatever,
yourself.
whatever.
Um, so it's kind of hard to fly over the country, so we're just gonna be visiting one school. Yeah, I'm not gonna dox myself.
You're very
I
dox
refuse
yourself
to.
twice in 2 weeks, bruh.
Yeah, well, too bad. I'm not doing another one.
You're like
Johnny.
double dox.
You're not saying where you're going?
You staying
What?
close to? You're visiting a school close to home though. You're not traveling.
No, we're traveling. It's just we don't have the money in order to go to multiple colleges,
Oh yeah, yeah.
multiple colleges. So we're just picking one
Well,
basically.
one of mine is close to home, so that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, it must be real nice.
But you good? Well, you don't. If you're traveling somewhere, it's not doxing. You're just saying where you're going.
Right. Okay. I'm
But what
going to
if he ends
Arizona.
up going
I'm
there?
visiting Arizona State.
Okay, okay,
Done.
cool.
I'm probably gonna die of dehydration. I'll probably go cook an egg on the sidewalk or something.
Yeah.
Is that your top
probably.
choice right now, or is it? I know you also considering Butler, right?
Yeah, I mean, I probably like the
Exposing
spot better because
myself.
even with that scholarship that I was offered by Butler, that's still more expensive than Arizona State. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
go figure.
it's probably
Butler made a few March Madness championships a while back, which I
they did. It's
forgot
funny.
about.
I've been watching a bunch of March Madness West the past
Yeah.
couple of days, so I've been kind of
Yeah.
watching some of the two championships they went to.
Little fun fact.
Yeah, fun fact. But under Brad
Yeah, I mean,
Stevens is now
my top choice would preferably be
Boza.
UCLA, but we'll see what happens once I visit all of my options.
Yeah.
John. What's your number one? Do you know?
GT.
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech, great option. Can't go wrong.
All right. Well, I think that's our show for this week, huh?
Well, all right.
Yeah, that's it.
I want one though. I want one.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
oh,
go
you
for
want
it,
to do a
go.
different one? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Eastern. How do you feel about it?
Ooh.
How do I feel about Easter? Okay. I really like Easter, which is why I'm kind of bummed that I'm not home for Easter. Like I don't like I'm gonna be at the beach, but I'm not. I don't know. I rather like spend the day and with like family and just kind of like hang out.
Yeah, I like Easter a lot. It's always been. I've always thought of it as an underrated holiday. I think
That's
it's
fact.
nice to just stay at home with the fam, dye some eggs, maybe do an Easter egg hunt with the grandparents, whatever it may be. It's just always fun, and maybe you can get some candy on the side. But yeah, no, it's all good fun, some good family time, and obviously you got that nice Easter break with it, so you can't go
Yeah.
wrong.
You guys been going through like that Lent stuff? Any of you guys into that or?
I've done it
Um,
before,
Give
but
anything up?
not this year.
I've never done it before, but low key maybe I will like next year. But I think
Nah,
this
that's what
year.
they all say. That's what they all say.
Okay, yeah, hold me to it. Hold me to it.
I won't.
In college, man,
Stop
I'm
lying
gonna
to yourself.
attempt it in
I'll
college.
hold you. I'll hold you to stop lying to yourself.
Hey, whatever.
That
See,
should
that'll
your
be it.
Lent.
Stop lying to yourself. That'll be
Give up
fun.
lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Give up the
that's your that's
lies.
your take for Lent. Um, well, thank you guys for listening to the show this week. We got some big games this weekend, so we're gonna get out of your hair here. But thank you guys for listening all the way through. If you did, if you want to know our socials, we are at Team Nine Pod on YouTube and at Team Nine Pod on Twitter. Search
Yep.
Team Nine Pod on Spotify, that's where you will find us. You guys got anything else to say?
Thanks
Nothing.
for
No, you covered
listening.
it all. Thanks for listening.
Hey,
Have a
thank you
great
guys for
weekend.
listening. Have a great weekend. Happy
Or
Easter,
week,
everybody.
depending on when you listen.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.